Hey guys. This is what if Naruto was the heir of the Whirlpool. The Uzumaki clan is not dead. They rule of one of the most powerful and influential nations in the world. What will they do when they find out they were lied to about the death of Kushina's child? The Heir of Whirlpool has been found. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 1. A furious man stormed through the halls of one of the largest mansions in the Hidden Leaf village. That man was Hiashi Hyuga. Hiashi, like all Hyuga, took pride in being a member of the mighty Hyuga clan. As the head of the Leaf village's most powerful and influential clan, he was a man that valued power, honor, strength, and prestige. Hiashi was a man that had been trained from childhood to control his emotions. However, that wasn't the current situation, as servants and other clan members all but ran out of his way. They couldn't get away fast enough, as the man radiated bloodlust, and none of them wanted to set him off lest they become the target of that anger. Hiashi made it to his room and was met with a sight that instantly calmed him and warmed his heart. His wife Hana was sitting in a chair holding his newborn daughter Hanabi, while his eldest daughter Hinata played with the infant's tiny hands and made funny noises for her. Hiashi couldn't help but smile at what he saw in front of him. His wife looked up at him with a loving smile on her face. Seeing the look on her husband's face, she knew instantly that something was wrong. She looked at Hinata and said, "Hinata dear, could you go to the kitchen and ask them to bring some tea and cookies for us?" Hinata smiled and quickly left to do as her mother asked. Once Hinata left, Hana turned toward her husband and asked, "What's wrong?" Hiashi knew he couldn't keep anything from his wife, so he just told her. "I just came from a meeting with the clan council." After hearing the news, Hana's face grew grim. She knew if he was upset, then something terrible had happened in the meeting. "What did they want?" she asked. Hiashi looked at her, his expression stony, anger easily seen in his eyes. "The council has deemed Hinata unfit to be clan heiress. They have demanded that I name Hanabi as my heir and place the caged bird seal on Hinata and place her in the branch family." There was a silence that he knew wouldn't last. He was right. "What?" Hana screamed in a rage. "How dare they? Hinata is the firstborn and rightful heir to the clan. Hanabi is only 2 months old, how can they ask this?" Hiashi sympathized. He had asked the very same question himself. "They say that Hinata is not suitable to be clan heir and should be replaced. They see Hinata's kind heart and gentle nature as weakness. They want to take over Hanabi's training when she is older, as well as to find and arrange a husband for Hinata." Hiashi was unable to continue because he was cut off. "They can't do that. Only we can arrange a marriage for her," she said. I made sure to remind them. "They said that if we are unable to find someone worthy of the clan, they will find someone for us." He said the last part with anger in his voice. "They want to rob my eldest child of her birthright and turn my youngest into an emotionless puppet. We can't let them do that," she begged him. "We won't," he said. "We can't change their decision on Hinata. If we try to fight it, I know they will do everything they can to pit them against each other." Hana knew he was right. She didn't like it, but it was exactly what the old fools would do. "But we can keep them from corrupting Hanabi. The Hyuga doctrine states that as her father I get to train her." Hana knew that much was true, at least. Even the council can't go against the clan doctrine. It's what had kept the clan together for so long, if only barley. "For Hinata, all we can do is try to find someone that will be a good husband for her," he said sadly. Hana walked to the part of the room where they kept the family pictures. She smiled sadly at the newest one. It was the one taken the day Hanabi was born. "I hear that Saminizuka has been looking to arrange a marriage for her son. I guess we could talk to her," he said, trying to see how he could help his daughter. Hana was not really paying attention. She was still looking at her family pictures. It was then that another picture drew her attention. It was the picture of her genin team. In the picture was a blushing Hana in the middle with a smiling Mikoto Uchiha on her left. On her right, with her arm around her shoulder, was her best friend Kushina Uzumaki with a face-splitting grin. Hana missed her friend dearly. When she died, Hana had been devastated. It was then, as she looked at the picture of her lost friend, that the idea hit her. It was like her old friend was sending her a message. Yes, Hana knew what to do, and she would make sure to do it no matter what the cost. "Hana, I know this is not what we wanted, but we have no other choice," he said. Hana turned to her husband with a smile. "Oh, but we do," she said. Hiashi didn't like the look on his wife's face. He knew that look meant trouble. "What are you talking about?" he asked, not sure he wanted to hear the answer. His wife said one word, "Kushina." Hiashi was puzzled. Your old teammate? What about her? He asked. His wife just kept smiling, which made him realize what she was scheming. No, he said in disbelief. You can't possibly be thinking of. Yes, I can. For too long I have been kept from keeping my promise to Kushina, she said with determination in her voice. The Fire Council will never allow it. We tried to adopt him, and they rejected us like everyone else who tried. Arranging a marriage with him will be impossible, he said. I have no intention of asking for their permission, she said. Hayashi looked more confused than ever. But he's a civilian. That means that only the civilian council can make decisions on his welfare, he said, trying to reason with his wife. Not if he's taken back to his family, she said in a serious voice. Hayashi's eyes went wide as he finally understood what she was really planning, and he felt the unfamiliar grasp of fear on his heart. We can't. It's treason. If the Hokage found out, he won't be able to do anything once the Uzumaki get involved. She snapped. You think they will be able to protect us from being executed for treason? They will probably declare war on the Leaf if they find out we lied to them. He snapped back at her. He knew the Hokage would not just let this go. The third had gone through a lot to keep the boy's heritage a secret. The only reason he and Hana knew was because Hana had been there to help her sensei with the delivery of Kushina's child. The Hokage had told them that they couldn't reveal the child's heritage because it would put him in danger from his father's enemies. He said that secrecy was the only way to keep the child safe and lie to the village and the boy's family by telling everyone that both mother and child died during labor. The only few who knew the truth were sworn to secrecy under the pain of death. They won't. I know Kushina's family. They will help us, we just have to be careful how we let them know, she said. Hayashi was not so sure. He knew the Uzumaki clan's reputation for ill temper. Are you sure? What if they share Kushina's idea of kill first, and ask questions if someone is lucky enough to be left alive? He asked. Hana couldn't help but smile sadly and turned back to the picture. No. Her father and brother are much more level-headed. I spent my summers from the academy with them, remember? I can explain things to the daimyo. It will work out, I know it, she said. Hayashi thought about what his wife said. It could work, but it would be incredibly dangerous. I will get a squad of branch members to escort you, he began. No. We must do this in secret. I will go and I will only take Hinata with me, she said calmly. You can't, it would draw too much attention. And I will not let my wife and daughter go unprotected, he said, practiced authority in his tone. Hana saw her husband's point. Very well, but I will only take 2 escorts. Any more will make it difficult to travel unnoticed, and we can't let the Hokage know until the Uzumaki get involved. Hayashi nodded. I will tell Ko and Hideki to be ready by morning. What do I tell the elders if they ask where you went? Hana thought for a second. Tell them I'm taking Hinata on vacation to Moon Country. They won't think anything of it, she said. Hayashi knew she was right. The elders would just think she was spoiling Hinata. Very well then, everything will be ready for you in the morning, he said. With that he left to inform the guards to get ready for the trip. If everything worked out, the elders and the Council of Fire would be in for a big surprise. Chapter 2. A drowsy Hinata blinked her eyes as she sat up in the large, comfortable bed. She rubbed her eyes with her tiny hands, trying to fully wake herself. As she did this, she quickly noticed the subtle swaying of the room, the distinct sound of wood creaking, and the smell of the salty air. It was a reminder that she was not in her room back home, but in the cabin she and her mother shared on the ship they had boarded. Hinata and her mother, along with their 2 guards, had traveled east until they had reached a port town at the edge of the Land of Fire. They had been traveling by ship for 3 days now. Her mother said today was the day they would reach their destination, the Land of Whirlpools. Hinata heard a knock on the door before someone came in. It was Ko, one of their guards. Hinata-sama, I see you're awake. Hana-sama is waiting on the top deck. You should get dressed. I will wait for you outside and escort you to her. Hinata thanked him before he stepped outside. Once she was dressed, Ko led Hinata topside. Hinata took a deep breath of the cold morning air. She could taste the saltiness of the sea in her mouth, and hear the waves crashing against the side of the ship. Hinata found her mother in the frontmost part of the ship. She was looking into the horizon pensively. Hinata walked up to her mother and grabbed her hand, letting Hana know she was there. Hana looked down at her daughter and gave her a warm smile. Good morning, honey. Did you sleep well? Yes, I did. Hinata looked out onto the ocean for a moment, as her mother had been doing. She then turned back to her mother and asked, Mommy, we're going to Whirlpool Country, right? Hana nodded to her. Yes, we are. It won't be long now, we're almost there. Hinata was happy to hear that. Being in a ship for so long with nothing to do was boring for a 5-year-old. They wouldn't let her do anything. Mommy, you have been to Whirlpool Country before, haven't you? Yes, honey. My best friend since I was a child was Kushina Uzumaki. Kushina was the oldest child of the Daimyo of the land of Whirlpool. Because of this, she returned to Whirlpool Country every summer that we were in the academy. I was always invited to come with her, and because the Uzumaki clan is such an important family, I was always allowed to come. Hinata thought that was very nice. She wondered if she would make a close friend like that when she started the academy in a few years. If your friend was the princess of Whirlpool, why was she in our village? Hana hesitated for a moment before she answered. As a member of the Uzumaki clan, there was a task that only she could perform for the village. For this task and to fulfill the alliance between our village and her country, she was chosen to come to our village. Her father only allowed it if she was allowed to return home to Whirlpool Country for part of the year to continue her training as an Uzumaki. After we became friends, I came with her, so I have been to Whirlpool many times. Can you tell me about it? Sure, honey. Hana paused to think of what to tell her, and noticed that her guards had subtly moved closer. She knew it was because they were curious too. Neither Kon nor Hideki had been to Whirlpool. The land of Whirlpool is an island nation located between the land of fire and the land of water. It is smaller than any of the 5 great nations, smaller than Water Country even. Hana began to remember the many things she had learned of the country her dear friend was born in. However, what Whirlpool lacks in size, it more than makes up in wealth. Hana noticed the confusion on Hinata's face, so she explained what she meant. You see, Whirlpool is rich in natural resources. It has an abundance of precious ores and metals. It has vast quarries of rare stones and jewels. Its forest contains valuable medicinal plants that can only be found there. Those are the reasons that they are a country rich in resources. The other reason is the location of the country itself. Its location is of great strategic value. The location and how well the nation is managed is why Whirlpool is the premier trade and transport country in the continent. This statement brought nods of understatement from her guards. Everyone knew of Whirlpool's immense wealth and importance in the world's economy and trading industry. Hana-sama is correct. Nearly every country, large and small, depends heavily on trading for the stability of their economy. Whirlpool commands the most influence in trade. That gives their country political power and wealth few lands can hope to match, spoke Hideki. Hana nodded in agreement before she continued. Because of this, Whirlpool is one of the richest nations in the world. Hinata looked like she was about to interrupt her mother. Hana raised her hand, letting her know to wait. When Hana was sure Hinata understood, she continued. The power and wealth has also made Whirlpool Country a target to those who would take the wealth and resources of Whirlpool and make it their own. Long before the ninja villages were even founded, daimyos and warlords raised mighty armies for the sole purpose of conquering Whirlpool. All that tried have failed miserably. Hinata couldn't hold her curiosity any longer and asked her question. Does Whirlpool have their own ninja village? Hana smiled at her daughter's impatience. Well, no, Whirlpool does not have a formal ninja village like we have at home, but they do have ninja. This answer might have confused most 5-year-olds, but Hinata was Hyuga. As one, she learned many things other children did not. Like the fact that not all ninja came from a ninja village. Whirlpool may not have many ninja, but it has one of the strongest militaries in the world. If it didn't, the country would have been conquered long ago. Hinata looked a little confused about that, so her mother elaborated. Most of Whirlpool's military is made up of samurai. They specialize in the art of the sword. The statement got little reaction from Hinata. She knew little about samurai. Hana noticed the disinterested looks from her guards. In many countries, especially in countries like our own where we have many ninja, samurai are uncommon. This unfortunately has led many, ninja in particular, to seriously underestimate the strength that a trained samurai can possess. Once again Hana saw a look pass between her guards. They have never met a samurai before. Like many, they believe that ninja are far superior to samurai. But mommy, ninja are stronger because we can use chakra, right? Asked Hinata. Actually, Hinata, that is a very common belief among ninja. They believe that because ninja have the use of genjutsu and ninjutsu, that a samurai is of little threat to an elite ninja from a formal ninja village. Hideki got a smug look on his face. Ko, however, was beginning to think that his lady was going to say that would make them think otherwise. I don't want you to share this foolish belief, Hinata, so I will tell you about the samurai of Whirlpool. This got the focused attention of the 3 other Hyuga clan members. In Whirlpool, like in nations like the Land of Iron, the art of the sword has become a way of life. For many it has reached a nearly religious type of reverence. Hana could tell her guards, Hideki in particular, wanted to comment on that but knew better than to actually do it. She knew why too. For a Hyuga who prides himself in his taijutsu, the use of any weapon is seen as weakness. Whirlpool samurai serve not only as bodyguards to the royal family but as guardians to their entire country. For this reason the samurai of Whirlpool have been named the Guardian Corps. Hinata thought they had a cool name, and wanted to know more about them. Are they strong? As strong as ninja? She asked. Like ninja samurai in Whirlpool go through an academy. They train since childhood to learn the ways of the samurai. A master samurai can be as strong, if not stronger, than any ninja, regardless of rank. This got mixed reactions from the Hyuga listening. Hinata was amazed that someone that couldn't use any jutsu can be that strong. Her guards looked almost insulted by the comment. Wow, is it because the samurai are so strong that they don't have a ninja village? Asked Hinata. Yes, that is part of the reason. Whirlpool samurai are the strongest in the world. This gives Whirlpool enough military strength to not need a ninja village. There are other reasons why a ninja village is not needed, but I would rather show them to you. You just can't understand them until you see them with your own eyes. Now do you remember that I said that while Whirlpool may not have a ninja village they do have ninja, correct? Yes, I do, said Hinata with a nod. In fact, the royal family, the family that my friend Kushina was born into, is a ninja clan. Can you tell me about them, please? Asked and exited Hinata. Yes, I will. The Uzumaki clan is an ancient, noble, and powerful ninja clan, one of the first clans to learn the ninja arts from the Sage of Six Paths himself. Ignoring the astounded looks her listeners had, Hana continued. Like other clans, our own included, the Uzumaki have areas of the ninja arts that they specialize in. They specialize in two arts in particular, and they have mastered these arts to a degree that is legendary. Hana wasn't exaggerating. The Uzumaki of Whirlpool are infamous throughout the elemental nations. One thought in particular was shared anywhere, that they are well known. Never piss off an Uzumaki. The first of the Uzumaki style of fighting is not surprising. They specialize in kenjutsu, the ninja art of fighting with a sword. Hinata thought that made sense. After learning how respected the sword was in Whirlpool, it made sense that the ruling family would specialize in fighting with the sword. The Uzumaki clan practices the Hiten Mitsurujiryu, Flying Heaven Honorable Sword style, also known as the Sonic Blade Sword style. The secrets of the Hiten Mitsurugi are well guarded. Even after seeing it up close for several years, I can only tell you a few things about it. Once again Hana had their unabated attention. Mastery of the style allowed the Uzumaki to fight with superhuman reflexes. This allows them to be able to react instantly to almost any attack. Not only that, but they obtain a movement and action speed that renders most jujutsu like the Sharingan and Byakugan useless. This statement had both her guards with scandalized looks in their faces. Like most Hyuga, they believed that their all-seeing eyes were just that, all-seeing. The thought that there was a fighting style that rendered their precious bloodline useless was a horrifying thought. Finally, a master of the Hiten Mitsurugi can decipher and predict their opponent's movements and attacks in battle, much like the Uchiha with their Sharingan. Except that the Uzumaki can't copy their opponent's moves, not that they have any need to. Hana remembered Kushina wiping the floor with several Uchiha and Hyuga when she and Hana took their Chunin and Jonin exams. Kushina may not have been a Hiten Mitsurugi prodigy like her younger brother, but her mastery of the style earned her the title of Konoha's Red Death. She was known and feared by the enemies of the Leaf almost as much as her husband, the fourth Hokage. The second and perhaps most frightening skill of the Uzumaki clan is that they specialize in what is arguably the most difficult ninja art. They specialize in Fuinjutsu, the art of sealing. They have mastered it to a level of skill that none ever thought possible. Their skill in sealing is why the Uzumaki are feared by their enemies throughout the world. But mommy, can't everyone learn sealing? Well, yes, they can. The basics are like any other ninja art, easy enough to learn. But unlike the other ninja arts, one can study Fuinjutsu their whole life and never truly become a master. You see, Hinata, the art of Fuinjutsu is like painting or sculpting or playing an instrument. You practically have to be born with the gift for it to ever become a true seal master. That is what's so scary about the Uzumaki. For generations they have been born natural seal masters, nearly all of them. The Uzumaki are able to master even the most complex types of sealing techniques. They can decipher, compose, alter, or even remove any type of seal. For the two Hyuga with a seal on their foreheads, thoughts of its possible removal couldn't help but pass by them. For one who grew up branded for a life of servitude, any thought of the possibility of freedom only occurred in their dreams. Hinata thought about what her mother said because it was her dream to one day unite her family. She hated that her family was torn in two, and that most of them were branded to be little more than slaves. The thought of freeing them from that fate was something that appealed to her, and appealed to her greatly. All three were brought back from their thoughts when Hana continued. The use of sealing in battle is one of the many reasons the Uzumaki are so feared in battle. The Guardian Corps samurai have special seals on their armor that protect them from chakra-based attacks. Like the snow ninja in the first Naruto movie but with seals instead of machines. The seals make all type of ninjutsu and genjutsu utterly useless against them. Ko and Hideki understood that without the use of chakra, the advantage of ninja over samurai would be greatly reduced. They now realized that even their own fighting style would be useless against Whirlpool samurai. It's lucky that even with their famous temper, the Uzumaki rarely go to war. Only when foolish daimyos or kages try to take Whirlpool's riches does the Guardian Corps go to battle. To try and take Whirlpool is suicide, its defenses are impenetrable. Hana saw the confused/curious looks they all had and smiled. Don't worry, you'll see soon enough. You have to see for yourself to truly grasp how futile it would be for anyone to try and invade Whirlpool. Hana turned to look at the horizon. She knew they would soon be there. It has been years since she has been to Whirlpool. She knew her mission would be difficult. The Uzumaki lost all love for the Leaf Village when Kushina died. If not for Kushina's father's decision to simply abolish the treaty with them as well as banning all Leaf Ninja from his land, instead of going to war, the village would have been destroyed. Kushina had been loved by all of the people of Whirlpool. When word reached them of her death, they blamed the Leaf Village, and they demanded blood. Kushina's younger brother had amassed Whirlpool's armies, and was preparing a fleet to have them march on the Leaf. The Leaf Village was only spared that fate because Kushina's father let go of his grief long enough to settle his son and his people down. From then on, not only were Leaf Ninja banned from the country and the treaty abolished, Whirlpool ceased all trading with Fire Country. The Fire Daimyo had been furious with the village for that. It had been a devastating economical blow to the nation since they now had to go through other lesser and more expensive ways to trade for just about everything they imported to the country. For the last 5 years the Fire Daimyo had been trying desperately to gain the Whirlpool's daimyo's favor. He went as far as to offer one of his daughters for an arranged marriage with Kushina's brother. That offer was refused. Kushina's brother vowed never to marry again after his young wife and son were killed. Hana knew that coming to Whirlpool was dangerous. She hoped they could blend into the crowds and make to the people's palace before they were discovered. If she could get an audience with Kushina's father, she knew she could get him to listen and understand. It would not be easy, but Hana would do what she had to for her daughter's future. She would do it not only for Hinata but for her godson too. She had been denied his adoption by the civilian council, and the Hokage had ordered her to stay out of the boy's life. It's too dangerous for him, the Hokage said. You were too close to his mother. His parents' enemies would find him if they found out your connection to him, he said. Well, Hana would not let the village treat her godson like trash anymore. In Whirlpool he will be with family, and people that will love him. Hopefully Hinata and he will be able to find happiness with each other. For that to happen she had to succeed in Whirlpool first. As Hana saw land appear in the horizon, she couldn't help but worry about what was soon to come. Chapter 3. The sounds of the ocean waves and the songs of seabirds greeted the Hyuga when they reached the port. For the 3 members of the group that were there for their first time, it was a sobering sight. It was one thing to hear about the amount of trading that Whirlpool did, but quite another to see the world's busiest port with your own eyes. The port that they left from Fire Country didn't come close to the one they just arrived in. There were ships of all shape and sizes. They had flags from many countries, not only from the elemental nations but from the southern and western continents as well. It was as Hana expected. After all, Luka Port is a hub of global trade and commerce. As the Hyuga group walked through the port town, Hana smiled as she saw Hinata's little head whipping from side to side trying to see everything she could. Hana had been much the same her first time, trying not to miss anything. There was lots to see, though not much different than most port towns. There were supply shops and inns, offices for trading companies and bars, restaurants, and stores of all kinds. If there was anything you wanted to buy or trade for, you could get it here. As they walked through the town, Hana felt Hinata stiffen slightly in her arms. She saw Hinata looking at a pair of Guardian Corps samurai patrolling the town. They were large men that wore armor reminiscent of the armor worn by the first and second Hokages, their katanas strapped to their sides. Hana held Hinata a little tighter. Don't worry, honey, we'll be okay. We're almost out of town. Hinata simply hugged her mother tighter, her eyes never leaving the samurai. Hana knew the easy part was done. Getting to Luka was not the problem. What came after was going to be the hard part. As the group traveled down a busy main road, she spoke to her group. Everyone, listen up, she said, getting their attention. We will soon be making our way into Whirlpool Country. This generated a few confused looks. I thought we were in Whirlpool Country, mommy? Asked a confused Hinata. Well, technically we are, honey. Luca Island is a territory belonging to Whirlpool, but the main island of Whirlpool Country is up ahead. Why did we not go straight to the main island, Hana-sama? Would it not have been easier? Asked Hideki. Hana shook her head. There is only one way in or out of the Whirlpool main island, and it's just over that hill, she said, pointing to the small hill they were about to go over. When the group got the top, they could only stare in stunned silence at what stood in front of them. In front of the group stood the largest bridge any of them has ever seen. It was colossal. They couldn't even see the end of it with the morning fog over the ocean. The ancient-looking bridge appeared to be made of stone. It stood about 250 feet above the water with massive stone pillars down the center that went all the way down to the ocean floor. The bridge appeared to be about 100 feet wide and what looked like 9 to 10 miles long. It was an impressive feat of human ingenuity to have built this bridge, and especially when the bridge was built centuries ago. That is the Great Uzumaki Bridge. It was built over 500 years ago by the first Uzumaki when they founded Whirlpool Country. It is the only way in and out of the country, said Hana. It's so big, said Hinata. Yes, it is. It's also one of Whirlpool's main defenses against attacks. With the bridge being the only way in, any invading force must use it to attack. It makes defending the country easy since there's only one point of possible attack. No matter how large the bridge may be, it still limits the amount of enemies that can attack the gates of Whirlpool, making it possible for the Guardian Corps to repel the attacks. With that, the Hyuga group followed the large number of people and carriages traveling along the bridge going to and from Whirlpool. When they got halfway across the bridge, Hinata began to hear the sounds of rushing water. It was faint at first but continued to increase in volume as they continued along the bridge. When the sound was loud enough that you had to speak up to be heard, Hana stopped the group and led them to the edge of the bridge near the railing. This, Hinata, is where Whirlpool Country gets its name. Hana then pointed down towards the ocean. For the second time of the day, her fellow Hyuga were speechless. Down on the ocean surface were a chain of enormous whirlpools that encircled the entire area, probably the entire island. Hideki now knew why they couldn't go directly to the main island. If those whirlpools surrounded the island, then there was no way any water-based vessel would get anywhere near the island. Any that were foolish enough to try would see their vessel torn to shreds as the whirlpools sucked it to the ocean floor. Wow! It's amazing! Exclaimed and exited Hinata. The whirlpools are the reason why this bridge is the only way in or out of this country. They don't look like a natural phenomenon, commented Ko. Well, I'm not sure. They didn't look natural to me either. Kushina told me when we were younger that according to her family, the whirlpools were created by the founder of her clan. Really, mommy? How did he do it? Kushina said that in order to protect his people he used the power of his sword, one of the legendary elemental swords, the Erasure, the Sword of Storms. He used the power of the sword to create the whirlpools to defend the island from invaders, but the sword was destroyed in the process. Kushina said that the strain of the power used to create the whirlpools shattered the great blade into 3 pieces. The shards of the sword now rest in the Garden of Life. It's a sacred place in the center of the people's palace. Have you seen the sword, mommy? I'm afraid not, honey. The Garden of Life is a sacred place that only a member of the Uzumaki clan can enter. I may have been a very close friend, but even so, I was never allowed to enter that holy place. Kushina said it's where the founder of the Uzumaki clan is buried. The sword rests upon its master's grave. Kushina said it is the most beautiful place ever created by the hands of men. From what she described of it to me, I suppose it is. I wish I could see it one day, said Hinata. If all goes well, you will someday, thought Hana. We are almost to the end of the bridge. The gates will soon be in front of us, and the most dangerous part of our mission will begin. We must blend in with the crowds and not bring attention to ourselves. Under no circumstances are you to use chakra, not even for your Byakugan. Am I clear? Why not, mommy? Because Hinata, the Guardian Corps have seals that detect any chakra use inside the walls of Whirlpool. It's imperative that we are not discovered until we reach the People's Palace. How will we get past the gate without being discovered? Asked Hideki. Because of the size of the gate, and the amount of people that go through them every day, it's impossible to stop every person that passes through. If we go in with a large group of people, they won't look twice at us. Inside, however, there will be a large samurai presence. We need to be careful. We will need to travel fast and not do anything that will get us noticed. That's why we are not wearing our headbands. We wouldn't get 100 feet within Whirlpool with them on. As they traveled with a large group of merchants from Moon Country, the Hyuga group finally saw their destination. The large gates and the high walls of Whirlpool stood in front of them. The walls that surrounded the city were over 100 feet high with defense towers on either side of the gate. It was a very defendable position with archers walking along the walls and samurai guarding the gates. As they walked, some of the merchants in their group began to talk with each other. So those are the famed death gates of Whirlpool, huh? That's them alright. So why do they call them that anyway? Because death is all you'll find if you attack him, that's why. Oh? Is that so? Don't you know? No army has ever set foot within those walls. They got the name during the First Great Shinobi War. From what I heard from my grandfather, the first Mizukage tried to attack Whirlpool while the Leaf was busy fighting the cloud and sand. I take it that it didn't go well? The merchant laughed before he continued. The Mist Ninja got slaughtered. They brought all their strength, nearly 4,000 ninja of all ranks. But because of this bridge their numbers were no advantage. With the Guardian Corps outside the gates and the archers raining arrows down on them from the walls, they could do little else but get killed. Didn't the ninja use jutsu? Oh, I'm sure they tried. But the walls and the gates are covered in seals that protect them from just about any ninjutsu. After 4 days and heavy losses from both sides, the Whirlpool Daimyo activated the powerful defense seals on the gates. My grandfather didn't know what they actually did, but it ended with every single Mist Ninja dead. Every single one? Surely there was some survivors? Nope, they were killed down to the last man. Damn, got that right. As they passed the gate, Hinata noticed that each of the massive iron doors had half of what looked like the symbol that was in the leaf headbands and on the ninja vests. Mommy, why does that symbol look like the one in our villager? Asked Hinata in a whisper. Because when our village was founded it was with the help of the Uzumaki. We wear it as a sign of respect and of our alliance with Whirlpool, even if that alliance has not existed for 5 years. As the group left the gate plaza, they got their first real look at the city. Like everything else about Whirlpool so far, what they saw was greatly unexpected. Before them was a city larger than any other they had even heard of. The city was larger than the Fire or even the Earth country's capital, which was famous for its size. From their vantage point they could tell that several leaf villages would fit within the borders of this single city. Welcome to Aindril, royal city of Whirlpool. I have never heard of such a large city, said Hideki. Yes, unfortunately people focus so much on Whirlpool's wealth and possible military that a lot of their culture is missed. The reason Aindril is so large is because it's the only major city in the country. Whirlpool has small cities and villages, but it has no other major cities. I see, is that our target? Inquired Hideki, pointing to the largest and tallest structure in the center of the city. Yes, that's the People's Place. It's the home of the royal family as well as the Guardian Corps. It's a city within a city. The Guardian Corps Academy, training grounds and barracks are there. If we can get there, I can request a meeting with the daimyo. I'm sure he will see me if we can get there. Let's go. Hana felt nostalgic as she led her group through the city. She had spent a lot of time in this metropolis with Kushina. Together they had explored the area and even played a few pranks on some of the people. Being here reminded her of her friend and of how much she missed her. Hana was still friends with Mikoto, but she was never as close to her as she was with Kushina. Kushina had been the one to inspire and encourage Hana to be her best. She helped her break out of her timid shell and become the woman she is today. Kushina had been the sister she never had. Hana had been so busy thinking about the past that she was startled when Ko spoke to her. Hana-sama, we are being followed, he whispered urgently. Ko was right. It was subtle, but they were being followed. No matter where they were never out of sight of the samurai. The group walked slightly faster but discovered quickly that no matter where they went, their path was blocked. No, we are so close. We can't be stopped now, thought Hana. She was thinking of what they could do when they found themselves boxed in at an empty plaza. They had been herded there, now they were surrounded by samurai on every side. Ko and Hideki flanked Hana and Hinata and took their taijutsu stances, ready to fight. I suggest you stand down, Leaf Ninja, or we will be forced to subdue you, said one of the samurai. With an unspoken signal, all samurai unsheathed their swords simultaneously. Just as it looked like this was going to end in unavoidable bloodshed, a voice cracked through the air. Samurai, stand down. We do not draw our blades on women and children. A chill voice echoed from the shadows. Samurai parted, and from the shadows of an alley a man stepped out, keeping his face hidden from the Leaf Ninja. Unlike the other samurai, he did not wear armor. Instead, he wore an elegant red and white kimono and a long white coat with blue trim and the kanji for kenjutsu on his back, a single sword strapped to his hip. Imagine one of the coats the captains on Bleach wear, as that is what I was thinking. You should not have come here, the man said as he stepped out of the shadows. He was young, in his mid-20s, with long, flaming red hair tied in a ponytail, and an X-shaped scar on his left cheek. His aura of power that was intimidating, but more truly frightening was the raptor-like gaze from his piercing violet-colored eyes. Those were the same color eyes that Kushina had also shared. This was Kushina's younger brother, Kenshin Uzumaki, High Commander of the Guardian Corps. Only his father outranked him. One of the samurai stepped forward and spoke. Kenshin-sama, we caught these leaf ninja trying to sneak into the city. Yes, though I cannot imagine why they would even try, especially someone that knows our city so well. Hana knew that this would be the only chance she got. I came to speak to your father. My father has neither the need nor desire to speak to a leaf ninja. You came here for nothing. You don't understand. No, he said forcefully. It is you who doesn't understand. You are no longer welcome in this country. Be thankful that I don't use your trespassing as an excuse to attack your miserable village. Only because you have a child with you and what you once meant to my sister will you be allowed to leave in one piece. He then turned to the samurai that had spoken earlier and said, escort them to the port and make sure they are on the next ship out of here. I will not suffer their presence in our land. Yes, sir. It's about Kushina. Kenshin turned around in an instant and shot a death glare that made a shiver run down the spine of every Hyuga. How dare you speak her name in front of me? He said with killer intent rolling in waves. Get them out of my sight. Now! As the samurai moved to grab them, Hana called out. The spiral still lives among the leaves. That stopped Kenshin in his tracks, as Hana had intended. Kushina would always tell her little brother that no matter how far from each other they were, he should always remember that as long as she lived he would always have family that loved him, and that the spiral of whirlpool lived among the leaves. You have gone too far, Hyuga. If this is a sick trick, I swear on my life and the lives of my family that I speak the truth. It is the reason that I came to speak to your father. Kenshin stared into her eyes, probing for deception. After what seemed like forever, he said calmly, take them to my father. I will go ahead and let him know that you're coming. Without another word he turned and left. Hana breathed a sigh of relief as they were escorted to the people's palace. Hana and the Hyuga had been escorted by the samurai directly to the people's palace. Without delay she and Hinata stood in front of the doors to the throne room waiting to be let in. Ko and Hideki were being held as guests in another room. This was it. This is what they have come to Whirlpool for. Hana was confident that she could reach an agreement with Kushina's father but was still very nervous. So much was rating on the success of this meeting. The daimyo will see you now, announced one of the samurai guards as he opened the door to the throne room. Hana walked in with Hinata next to her, holding hands tightly. She could tell Hinata was scared but was trying not to show it. Hinata knew how important it was to keep up appearances, especially in front of important political figures. Hana got a feeling of déjà vu as she walked through the room she had been in so many times during her youth. Like other times before, Kushina's father sat at the end of the room on an elegant throne of silver and gold covered with precious stones and jewels. It was the throne that every Uzumaki daimyo had ruled from since the founding of Whirlpool. Kenshin stood at his father's side. Unlike her brother, who had changed a lot in the 5 years since Kushina's death, her father looked exactly as Hana remembered him. Genryosai Uzumaki has the appearance of an old man. He looks much older than the third Hokage, though he is only older by a few years. He has the violet eyes commonly shared by the Uzumaki clan, and a long white beard that reached almost to his waist. His head is bald with 2 perpendicular scars above his right eye that suggested fierce battles in the past. He also has 2 long white eyebrows and wore a dark ocean blue kimono with a similar coat to Kenshin's. Genryosai's long with coat had a red trim and the kanji for Fuinjutsu on the back. It was the very same coat that had been worn by Kushina's husband, the 4th Hokage. The daimyo may look like an old man, but he, like his son, radiated an aura of power that couldn't be missed. Picture Captain Yamamoto from Bleach but with a blue kimono, and you have Kushina's father. Hana and Hinata kneeled down, and Hana said, it is an honor to once again be in your presence, daimyo-sama. Despite my grievances with your village, it is good to see you in my home again, Hana-chan, said Genryosai in a grandfather-like tone. It is good to be in your beautiful home once more. Yet you are not here for a visit, you said. We will get to why she is here, son. No need for rudeness. But father, enough, Kenshin. I know the anger you hold for the leaf. Put it aside for now. Yes, father. Now perhaps you can introduce this lovely young lady with you. This is my eldest daughter, Hinata Hyuga. I recently gave birth to a second daughter named Hanabi Hyuga. It is an honor to meet you, daimyo-sama, Hinata said with a bow. My, such polite young lady. It is nice to meet you too, Hinata. You are the spitting image of your mother at your age, he said, making Hinata blush. Father, we have waited long enough. The daimyo sighed. Fine, why don't you let young Hinata go and have a snack while we discuss our business? Though Hinata was reluctant to leave her mother's side, Hana convinced her that it would be okay. Once she was escorted out by a servant, Hana turned to the Uzumakis and spoke. I have come here without the knowledge of my village or my clan with the exception of my husband. The reason for this is because what I have to say would have me and my husband executed as traitors to our village. Very well, nothing you say nor knowledge of your being here will reach your village. I give you my word as an Uzumaki, said the daimyo. Hana knew that what she was going to say next would either save her daughter or destroy her village. 5 years ago you were told that Kushina, her husband, and their unborn son were killed during the 9-tailed fox's attack on our village. Are you saying that was a lie? Is that why they refused to deliver my sister's body? Asked Kenshin in a tone that promised vengeance if it was true. I wish it was, but no, Kushina and her husband are gone. And the child? Did my grandson perish with his parents? No, your grandson is alive and… What? Why weren't we told? How dare you? Quiet, Kenshin, said the daimyo in an imperial tone, his grandfatherly attitude long gone, and now replaced by a steeled mask of controlled emotions. Let her finish. I don't know why you were not told, but we were told that the child's heritage must be kept secret until he is old enough to protect himself from his parents' enemies. The few who know of the child's parents have been told to keep it a secret under penalty of death. So the child is in your care then? Asked Genryosai. Hana hesitated before she said no. Then which clan took charge of him? None. The Hokage forbade any of the clans from fostering him. Then where has my grandson been raised for the last 5 years? He has been at one of the village's civilian orphanages. What? Screamed Kenshin, but he was cut off by the massive wave of bloodlust that radiated from his father. Are you telling me that your village all but kidnapped my grandson from us, just so he could be left to rot in an orphanage like a commoner? My grandson, my beloved daughter's son, a prince of Whirlpool, in an orphanage, spat Genryosai, his powerful frame shaking in rage. And you didn't do anything about it? You who were to be his godmother, you who Kushina considered a sister in all but blood. My sister would curse you from her grave if she knew you have betrayed her so. Let her speak, son, because what she has to say will determine not only her own fate, but that of her village. Now tell us, what reason could Sarutobi have to lie to us? Why would he risk the destruction of his village to keep my grandson hidden from us? I believe the reason he was kept from you was because in his last act, his father Minato sealed the 9-tailed fox within his own son. I believe that the Hokage knew you would demand custody of the child, and for some unknown reason he refused to lose him. Some unknown reason? It's obvious that he plans on turning my sister's son into a weapon like the other villages do with their own Jinchuriki. If that's the case, then the Leaf Village will burn for this treason, said Genryosai. Please, I beg you not to punish the village for the mistakes of our leaders. With all its faults, Kushina still loved the village with all her heart. She died to protect its people. To turn around and destroy it would be an insult to her sacrifice. You expect us to do nothing? Asked Kenshin incredulously. No, I also want my godson out of that horrid place. And I have a way to do it without bloodshed, she said, pulling out a sealing scroll. I have here a betrothal contract signed by myself and my husband, as well as by Kushina and Minato. My husband and I have never been able to make its existence known because of the Hokage. We can't call for it to be activated without suffering the Hokage's wrath. But if you demand it when collecting your grandson, he can't do anything about it or prove you had anything to do with it. Yes, we can say that my daughter sent us the contract for safekeeping. And now that we've discovered the Leaf's lie, we want the contract activated. Yes, you can demand his custody and activate the contract, which will form an alliance with the Hyuga clan. Yes, your clan and not the Leaf Village. That will give my family protection from the Hokage. After all, he won't be able to retaliate against us without risking a conflict with the Uzumaki. Very well, Hana-chan. We will do it your way, for now. But if Sarutobi gives me reason to, I will punish the village for their treachery. Hana knew that with the Uzumaki it was as good as it was going to get. She agreed and began to tell them her plan. When she was finished and was leaving to get Hinata, Genryosai spoke to her. Hana, what is my grandson's name? His name is Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto Uzumaki, a fine name indeed. Chapter 4. It had been 3 weeks since Hana and her group had returned to the Leaf Village, and neither her clan nor the Hokage had any idea of what was coming. Hana was sitting in the garden of the Hyuga compound with little Hanabi in her arms while she watched as Hinata played with the flowers. Without Hana ever noticing, a figure seemed to materialize from the shadows of the wall behind her. An emotionless voice spoke to her. It begins today. Hana whirled around, activating her Byakugan. She tried to find the source of the voice, but the person had vanished. She knew what the person meant. It was why she was holding Hanabi closer than before. She knew the future of her family will soon be decided. Hana was confident her plan will work, but there was no way to be certain. It was out of her hands now. She had done all she could. All that remained was to wait and see what the future will bring. Hiruzen Sarutobi, third Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves, was sitting in his desk after finishing today's unusually small amount of paperwork. He was reading a small orange book written by his student without a care in the world, thinking his day couldn't get any better. Too bad fate was a real bitch. As Sarutobi was enjoying his favorite piece of literature, a loud knock sounded on the door, and his little orange book vanished so fast that if you had blinked, you would have missed it. Yes, come in, he said as he assumed his Hokage pose. I thought I said that I was doing important business, and was not to be bothered, irritated as his assistant came in. Lord Hokage, one of the Umbu you sent to the border patrols is requesting to see you. He said, it's urgent, sir. With a defeated sigh, the Hokage said, fine, let him in. Soon after that, the Umbu in question was kneeling in front of the Hokage. Lord Hokage, I have urgent news that you need to hear. As Sarutobi lit his pipe, he said, very well, report. My lord, as my team and I were performing a routine border patrol, we heard talk of a large fleet being spotted off the coast of Fire Country. The information didn't seem very reliable, but my team and I checked it out anyway. As we patrolled the coast near the Land of Waves, we did in fact spot a large fleet of ships anchored just off our coast. The Umbu hesitated, as if almost afraid to continue. We saw a large number of samurai mobilizing and preparing to march. So they were preparing to march towards the eastern road, which means their only possible target is the Leaf Village. Did you see who they belong to? And how many samurai are we talking about? How long till they reach the village? Sarutobi asked. In his heart he knew the answers but wanted to make absolutely sure. With a slight hint of fear, the Umbu answered the Hokage. The samurai bear the crest of Whirlpool. I don't have exact numbers, but I would say they are 2,000 strong at least, maybe more. Unopposed, they will be here in 2 days. Sarutobi calmly set his pipe down. I see. Contact every member of the council. Tell them we have an emergency meeting. Sir, one last thing. The Badasai himself is leading them. I saw him with my own eyes, sir. Go now. The Umbu left immediately in a swirl of leaves. The Hokage snapped his fingers and a young-looking Umbu wearing a crow mask appeared in front of him. You called Lord Hokage? He asked in a monotone voice. Itachi, find the boy and take him to my home. You are to remain there until I say otherwise. Let no one see you, let no one anywhere near him until I get there. Do you understand your mission? Yes, Lord Hokage. Without waiting for anything else, Itachi left. Sarutobi took one last look at the photo of the fourth Hokage before he left to go to the council room. In the Hyuga compound, Hayashi walked into his room where Hana sat looking at their sleeping children. The Hokage just called for an emergency meeting, he stated. I see, she said without looking at him. Don't worry, my love, we are ready, he spoke to her in a reassuring tone. But what if something goes wrong? She asked as she turned to him, fear evident in her eyes. Nothing will go wrong. Our family will be safe. I will make sure of it, he said in a tone that left no room for argument. I must go. I will speak with you when I return. Hana could only nod to her husband as he left for the meeting. She could not help but worry. This was her plan. If something wrong happened, it would be her fault. She knew it was for the best, but that didn't make it any less nerve-wracking. The Hokage sat in the council room watching as the last of the clan heads and members of the civilian council arrived for the meeting. He waited until everyone was seated before finally addressing them. I have called you all here today to tell you that an army of samurai has landed on our eastern coast, and it appears to be ready to march against us. If left unopposed, it will be here in 2 days at the earliest. That statement alone was enough to fill the room with screams, yells, and arguments. The Hokage let them go on for a few seconds before he yelling, Enough! Be quiet! It was imperative that everyone shut up to hear what he had to say next. Once everyone did shut up, one of the Hokage's advisors, Danzo Shimura, spoke up. Where are they from? And how many of them are there? They are about 2,000 strong, and they bear the crest of Whirlpool, said the Hokage, knowing the reaction it would cause. Sure enough, he had to settle them down again before one of the clan heads spoke up. The daimyo of Whirlpool has been content for 5 years with only cutting ties with our village. What reason would cause him to attack us now? Asked Shibi Aburame, head of the bug-using Aburame clan. Before the Hokage could answer, one of the members of the civilian council interrupted him. What does it matter, the reason? And why are we not just sending our ninja to simply crush these invaders? They're just lowly samurai. Our ninjas should have no problem dealing with them. Every clan head, as well as many of the older members of the civilian council, stared at him, while asking themselves if he really was that stupid. By the look on the fool's face, he obviously was. Finally, it was Inochi Yamanaka, head of the Yamanaka clan, that answered his stupid question. The reason may not matter to you, fool, but it matters to those of us who have to go out there and die to protect idiots like you. Inochi's longtime friend Shikaku Nara, head of the Nara clan, also helped explain. And the reason we don't just send our ninja after them is because we don't have the manpower to face them in open battle. They would outnumber us and outpower us as well, he said in a bored tone as he rested his head on the table. He may have looked like he was trying to sleep, but his mind was racing, trying to come up with possible reasons for this. He was also trying to think of ways his home would be able to come out of this alive. But they're just samurai. You're ninja, can't you just shoot some jutsu at them or something? The same fool asked. Sarutobi already had enough of this idiot whose name escaped him at the moment. No, we can't. These are not ordinary samurai we are dealing with. They are not the sword-wielding thugs that call themselves samurai here. This is the Guardian Corps we are dealing with. They are the elite of Whirlpool and not to be underestimated, said the third. Several of the younger civilians still looked confused, so Shibi explained further. The Guardian Corps is specially trained to battle against shinobi. They have armor that prevents us from using most ninjutsu or genjutsu against them. With samurai specializing in close combat, it is not logical to rush in to battle them unprepared. With only taijutsu, he said in a cool and calm voice. With the civilian fools quieted, the Hokage continued. It has also been reported that the Badasai himself is leading them. As Sarutobi expected, this news made the blood drain from the face of every ninja in the room. They all knew how powerful that man was. Others apparently didn't know, hence the next stupid question from a pink-haired woman. Sayuki Haruno didn't know who they were talking about or why he was a big deal. Who is this Badasai? I never heard of him. And what does it matter if he's leading them? I'm sure someone like Hokage-sama or Uchiha-sama can take care of him, she said, looking at both men with a clueless smile on her face. While Fugaku Uchiha, head of the Uchiha clan and leader of the ninja police, just ignored the useless woman, the Hokage just shook his head in disbelief at the woman's stupidity. And for what seemed like the millionth time, he wondered if his sensei, the second Hokage, was drunk or on something when he created the civilian council. I'm afraid that is not the case. I'm an old man, and if I'm honest with myself, I doubt that even if I was in my prime, that I would be a match for a member of the Rokukyoshu, said the Hokage. Rokukyoshu? Asked one of the civilians. The Hokage nodded. Yes, the 6 great masters. They are a group that is recognized as the masters of their respected fields. Each of them wears coats of the masters as proof of their power. What do you mean by that, Lord Hokage? Asked another civilian. There are 6 coats that are said to have been made by the Sage of 6 Paths himself. He presented these coats to his original 6 disciples, each who specialized in one of the 6 great ninja arts: ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, senjutsu, and fuinjutsu. Since the creation of the ninja arts, these coats have been passed down from master to master. There are only 2 ways for the coat and title of master to be passed down, either by the current master of a field to willingly pass the title, or by someone stronger killing the current master and claiming the coat by force. The seriousness of the situation finally sank in for most of the civilians in the room, and many were suddenly very scared. Surely we have someone that can fight him? We have powerful ninja, don't we? Asked a scared older man. Sarutobi didn't know if he should just lie to them. He decided to remain truthful and told them, the only one who might be able to face him would be Jiraiya. He isn't here, and we can't be sure that he can get here on time. It was an annoyed Danzo that spoke next. And whose fault is it that both our remaining Sannin are out of the village? If you didn't let them do what it wouldn't matter if he was here, came to regal voice of Hayashi Hyuga, speaking for the first time. As everyone's attention was directed at him, he continued. In all of his life, Kenshin Uzumaki has only failed to win one fight he wanted to win. Even then, his opponent was only able to fight him to a draw. This was news, even to the Hokage. Nobody had ever heard of the Badasai ever fighting to a draw. And who, pray tell, was his opponent Hyuga? For I have never heard of this, said Fugaku with a sneer. Hayashi stared at the Uchiha head with a mask of indifference and answered, I believe you have heard of him, Uchiha. After all, he was our teammate for years. But perhaps you remember him best as your 4th Hokage, said Hayashi as he fought to keep his mask. The Uchiha really pissed him off. The stunned silence in the room was broken by the Hokage. Minato fought the Badasai? When? And for what reason? And how is it that only you know of this? I know because my wife and I saw the fight with our own eyes. The reason nobody knows is because it is not common knowledge. And the reason they fought was for the hand of Kushina. They fought for Kushina's hand? Asked some Inuzuka, head of the Inuzuka clan. Yes. When my wife and I accompanied Minato to ask for permission to marry Kushina, her father said it was tradition for anyone wishing to prove themselves worthy of marrying an Uzumaki, to show it by proving their strength in mortal combat. Kushina's younger brother did not feel Minato was worthy to marry his sister, and gladly volunteered to be the one to test him. They both fought with everything they had, and in the end the daimyo stopped the fight before they killed each other. Naturally, the daimyo gave Minato his blessing to marry his daughter, much to the frustration of his son. That revelation only really brought home for everyone in the room just how strong the man leading the attack against their village truly was. None of them could go toe-to-toe with the fourth, and they knew it. As Shikaku would put it, the whole thing was troublesome. Before further discussion could take place, a chunin ran inside the room, getting everyone's attention. Lord Hokage, a group of samurai has been spotted a few miles outside the village. This surprised and worried several people in the room. They thought they had some time to prepare for the attack. How many? Asked the Hokage in urgency. 12 samurai are escorting a carriage. They are less than 3 miles from our northern gate. A carriage? Asked a council member. He was clearly confused. Yes, a carriage with the flag of Whirlpool and the royal crest of the Uzumaki clan. This had the council trying to figure out what it could possibly mean. Could it be a trick? Or some diversion? While the discussion was going on, a second chunin came in the room with a note. He ran and gave it to the Hokage. After he read it carefully, he spoke to the room full of nervous council members. I received this note from our northern gate. It says that the carriage belongs to the Whirlpool daimyo. That caused a big shock. It was almost unheard of for the Uzumaki daimyo to leave his country. It says that he has requested a meeting with the Hokage and the village council. If we refuse, there will be no other chances for discussion until the leaf has been destroyed. No sooner had he finished than the room exploded into chaos. When Sarutobi had enough, he commanded their silence and order again, finally getting them to settle down. We will all go and meet the daimyo at the gate. After we greet him, we will all return here and try to negotiate peace with him for whatever he thinks we have done to him. Everyone out, we meet him at the gate in 20 minutes. As Sarutobi prepared to leave, a familiar Umbu appeared kneeling next to him. What are you doing here, Itachi? Where is Naruto? Forgive me, Lord Hokage, but I was unable to locate him at the orphanage. What do you mean? Where is he? Yelled a furious Hokage. It appears that the matron of the orphanage kicked him out last night for some reason. I didn't wait to hear what that reason was. The Hokage knew he should have fired the useless woman. She had just placed the entire village in danger with her ignorance and bigotry. Find him. Now! Raged the Hokage, who was sure that if he didn't have a heart attack by the end of the day, it would be a miracle. As the council was meeting, the Uzumaki daimyo, a 5-year-old blonde-haired boy with whisker-like markings on his cheeks, was hiding behind a trash bin trying not to cry. Last night, like always, he was the last to get food during dinner at the orphanage, and like many times before, he barely got any food. He was very hungry and had asked if he could have a little more. The matron had grown very angry with him and dragged him out of the orphanage. She threw him down the steps and told him to get out of there. She said she was tired of caring for a filthy demon that deserved to be dead. Little Naruto had spent the night in a box next to a closed restaurant. He had managed to climb up to the dumpster and get some of the food they threw out. When the sun came out, he had wandered around the village trying to find the nice old man that came to see him sometimes. He looked for a long time, but he was tired and was getting hungry again. As he searched, Naruto came upon a playground. There were lots of kids playing different games. He just sat in a swing watching all the kids play. He was never allowed to play with others in the orphanage because the people that worked there said he was dangerous and would hurt the other kids. Naruto didn't think he was dangerous, but the nice old man said he had to listen to them. As Naruto sat quietly on his swing, it happened. One of the parents, a man Naruto had never seen before, started yelling at him. This got the attention of many other villagers that were walking by. They all started yelling at him and calling him demon or monster. Before Naruto knew what was happening, they started throwing things at him, and they hurt. Naruto got scared and ran, but they started to chase after him. Naruto ran as fast as his little legs would carry him, and then dived behind a trash bin hoping they wouldn't find him. He sat there as he could hear them looking for him. He tried really hard not to make a sound even though he wanted to cry. Just when he thought they might leave, someone kicked the trash bin he was hiding behind. Naruto tried to run, but the man kicked him in the chest and sent him skidding across the floor until he hit the wall. The last things that Naruto experienced before he passed out were the pain of colliding with the wall, a flash of red, and the sound of horrified screams. The atmosphere back in the council room was excruciating. The daimyo had not said a word even when greeted. Now they all sat in the room waiting for him to do or say something, anything. Sarutobi had enough waiting and commenced the meeting. We were told that you requested this meeting so that we may find a way to resolve whatever it is that has caused the country of Whirlpool to wish to do war with our village. Genryosai surveyed the room with his raptor-like gaze. He could feel the fear and anxiety coming from the fools in the room. The land of Whirlpool has recently come into information that this village has done a great evil against our people. That information has been confirmed today. This caused several worried whispers around the table before one of the Hokage's advisors, Yudatane Koharu, spoke. What is this supposed evil that we have done? No ninja of the leaf has set foot in Whirlpool in 5 years. Genryosai's piercing violet eyes rested on her before he answered. The betrayal was done before our alliance was severed. That is why the wound has been so deep. It was not a former ally that betrayed us, but one we had been close for decades. Sarutobi was about to speak, hoping to redirect the conversation, but he was beaten to it by another. You have yet to tell us what you say we have done or what we can do to make things okay again, said the same fool that had spoken earlier today. Genryosai's eyes narrowed at the fool. His body tensed as he clearly tried to control his rage. The killer intent that escaped him, however, left nobody guessing how the daimyo felt. Just as Genryosai gained enough control to speak, another voice spoke behind him. What you have done is betrayed the Uzumaki clan. And I hold the proof in my arms. As if materializing from the shadows, Kenshin Uzumaki appeared holding the tiny form of a blonde-haired boy. Sarutobi felt his heart stop when he saw the Badasai appear holding Naruto in his arms. He couldn't believe how bad things were right now. The Uzumaki apparently knew they had been lied to, and now wanted revenge. He would be lucky if he could save his village from war now. This day just couldn't get any worse. Oh, how wrong he was. No sooner than Sarutobi had the thought, things get worse. What the hell is that demon doing here? Yelled the civilian idiot. Sarutobi thought he really needed to find out his name so he could punish the idiot later for the grief he's causing him right now. Unfortunately, this was followed by similar yells from the rest of the civilians. If Sarutobi ever found out who told them, Danzo, that Naruto was the vessel of the fox, he would make sure the spent a moth with Anko and Ibiki. The shouting was silenced by the wave of massive killer intent that was released from the combined effort of both Uzumaki. It was like nothing anyone in the room had ever felt before. Several civilians fell unconscious from the strain within seconds. Several of the clan heads were also having trouble staying conscious. If anyone ever calls my grandson that vile name again, I will personally remove their head from their body. I. Clear, roared Genryosai, shaking with rage as he visibly placed his hand at the sword on his hip. Slowly the pressure was released, much to the pleasure of the members of the Leaf. Once the council had time to process what the daimyo had said, it was as Sarutobi had feared. Looks of shock and recognition were followed by shouts of anger and denial, mostly by the civilians, while most of the ninja turned to look at Sarutobi with either confusion, disbelief, anger, betrayal, or a mixture of all of them together. Silence. Genryosai was not in the mood to entertain these fools' tantrums. My son will explain why I call this child my grandson. Genryosai stretched his arms, calling for his son to give him the child. As Genryosai saw his grandson for the first time, he felt he would weep as he saw the boy's face. The boy may have his father's hair, but his facial structure was defiantly his mother's. Of course, once the initial shock passed, Genryosai noticed the cuts and bruises the little boy had all over his face and body. He was also clearly malnourished, and weighed far less than a healthy boy his age should have. Genryosai felt his rage began to rise again before his son placed his hand on his shoulder, letting him know to calm down. It was a rare experience to be the one who needed to be calmed down, especially with his son of all people being the one to calm him. Kenshin glared at the room, letting them know to keep their mouths shut as he spoke. As you all know, the Uzumaki clan specializes in sealing techniques. As such, we have developed many specialized type of seals. One such seal is a blood analysis seal. This particular seal analyzes a person's blood down to the tiniest detail. With this seal we can know, among other things, without a shadow of a doubt if someone belongs to a specific clan or family. I used this seal on the boy. He is without question the son of my sister, and her husband the fourth Hokage. There was silence. Many of the civilians looked like they wanted to argue, but they were smart enough to know that if you called this man a liar to his face, you would be likely to end up dead or missing some limbs. Danzo was inwardly seething. He had always planned to take possession of the boy and turn him into a weapon. He now knew it would be impossible with the Uzumaki taking him away. He had to figure a way to keep the fox boy in the village. If what you say is true, I can assure you that it was not made known to the council, he said deliberately, looking at the Hokage. Had it been known to us, he would have been treated as his proper station dictated, as the last heir of the Namikaze clan and the son of the fourth Hokage. Danzo mentally smirked. He knew that the only way to keep the boy in the village was if he was accepted as the son of the fourth. It was the only way the stupid civilians would want the boy here, and the only way the ninja of this village would fight to make sure it happened. The fourth Hokage was loved by all shinobi and nearly worshipped by the civilians. Yes, Danzo needed the boy to be recognized as the fourth son for his plan to work. Sarutobi knew that Danzo was up to something but had to follow his lead anyway. I kept the knowledge of Naruto's parents a secret for his own safety. Minato and Kushina made many powerful enemies that would have come after him in an attempt to get revenge on his parents by killing him. The village was too weak after the losses suffered from the attack of the fox. The only way to keep Naruto safe was to keep his identity, as the last Namikaze, a secret. Genryusai sent a death glare at the Hokage. My grandson would have been perfectly safe behind the walls of Aindral. You had right to keep him from us. I am sorry. I made a promise to Minato that I would make sure his son would be safe. Sarutobi felt older than ever as he realized that he had not done a very good job of watching over Naruto. I know I have made mistakes. I have tried to do my best, but I'm far from perfect. All that I can say is I am sorry for the mistakes I made, but I did what I thought was best at the time. It was a glaring Kenshin that answered Sarutobi. Your mistakes will cost you dearly. Look at how I found my nephew, he spat out, pointing to Naruto, who was covered in cuts, bruises, and dirt. I found him being attacked by a mob of your people. He's only 5 for Kami's sakes. Sarutobi's face paled at hearing that. Several of the ninja council looked pissed while Danzo was seething at the civilian stupidity. It would be nearly impossible to get the Uzumaki to leave the boy here now. The Hokage tried to reassure the Uzumaki. I can assure you that those responsible will pay for their actions. They already have, and they paid with their worthless lives, said Kenshin in an icy tone. This statement drew gasps of shock and looks of fear from many council members. The Hokage didn't know what to feel. He was furious at his people that would attack a child, but was greatly saddened by the loss of life of these misguided people. Why UK killed them? You had no right, started one of the civilians. I had every right. Kenshin snapped back. Any attack on the Uzumaki clan will be paid with the blood of those responsible. Remember that, he said, looking directly at the Hokage when he said it. Sarutobi was about to respond when Danzo cut in again. While the incident is an unfortunate one, I believe it's best that we place it behind us. And I can give you my word that the council will make sure that the young Namikaze heir has 24-hour Anbu watch from now on. Before Kenshin could respond to the bandaged man, his father spoke. I can assure you that your Anbu won't be necessary, as my grandson won't ever set foot in this village again. Danzo, however, was not deterred. He is the son of the fourth Hokage and heir to the Namikaze clan. He belongs to this village. He belongs to this village. Raged Genryusai as he stood from his seat, a vengeful aura almost visible around him. Kenshin very noticeably placed his right hand on the hilt of his sword as he glared at the council. Sarutobi couldn't believe how poorly this was going. At this rate, a fight was going to break out, and he didn't have delusions that they would win that conflict. Perhaps eventually his ninja might be able to wear down the Uzumaki. He had some powerful jonin after all, but the damage 2 members of the Roku Kyoshu would inflict on the village would be devastating. With their samurai on the way, Sarutobi knew he had to prevent a fight with the Uzumaki. Please forgive Danzo for his foolish mistake. He obviously misspoke and meant that Naruto belonged in this village. After all, it's what his parents wanted. They both wanted their son to be a ninja of this village. Or would you really deny your daughter's and her husband's last wish? Asked Sarutobi. While Danzo was pissed that Sarutobi made him look like an idiot, he had to give him some credit. Playing at the Uzumaki's honor was smart. No way would they deny the last wishes of Kushina go unfulfilled. I'm afraid that at this moment I have no choice but to ignore my daughter's wishes, said Genryusai. I do not trust your village with the safety of my grandson. Damn this stubborn fool, thought Danzo. Then he had an idea and went for it. You don't have a choice. International law states that the father's clan has the higher claim to the child. Now that it is known he is the son of our greatest and most beloved leader, this village will fight for him if necessary. Both Uzumaki mentally smirked at this. This was exactly what they wanted to happen. If it's a call for war that the Leaf wants, Whirlpool will be happy to answer. For 5 years I have held my people back, but no longer. My army will lay waste to this village. That I guarantee all of you, said Genryusai with such conviction that left little doubt to any in the room that it would happen. Peace, pleaded the Hokage. I'm sure none of us wants to start a war over this. I'm sure we can find some way to compromise. There will be no compromise, Sarutobi. My grandson will not live in this village any longer, and you're ready to start a conflict that will destroy both our lands over this? The Guardian Corps may be strong, but you can't fight all of Fire Country with 2,000 men no matter how skilled they are, argued the Hokage. Danzo saw an opportunity and joined Sarutobi. That's right. The Fire Lord will not stand to have an invading army on his land. You would not only fight the Leaf Ninja but the Samurai Legions of Fire Country as well, and they alone outnumber you over 10 to 1. The Leaf would also have the aid of our ninja allies. The Sand, Star, and Waterfall villages would be on our side, said Sarutobi, hoping this would deter a conflict that would cost thousands of lives. Genryosai began to stroke his beard with one hand as if contemplating what they had said before he answered them. Yes, it would be a rather costly endeavor for us if things were as you said they are. He then smirked at them, sending a shiver down their spine. It's a good thing that things are most certainly not the way you say they are. Of course. Danzo began. No. They're not, interrupted Genryosai. The help you could get from the minor ninja villages would be insignificant if you got any help at all. And while the Sand Village could be a problem, they have had a hard time recuperating from the last war. The Kazekage would not risk losing the major provider of goods to his village over you wanting to steal my grandson. No, I don't think you will have their aid at all, Danzo growled, mainly because the old fool was probably right in his assessment of the situation. The Fire Daimyo would still not let your samurai simply. He was cut off, as Genryosai simply started to chuckle. Have none of you wondered why I came to you from the northern road to your village? This was met by blank looks of confusion until someone said troublesome. Everyone in the room turned to look at the head of the Nara clan. It has been bothering me since we were told. Now I realize why you were coming from the north when your army was coming from the east. You were coming from paying a visit to the Fire Daimyo, weren't you? Genryosai's smirk grew larger at that. As usual, the intellect of the Nara clan is impressive. Yes, I did pay a visit to my old friend the Fire Lord. He was overjoyed to have me in his home and received me with a massive feast in my honor. And imagine his surprise when I told him the reason for my visit. He was naturally appalled that a village that his country hosted had done such treachery as to basically kidnap a member of the Whirlpool royal family. But we didn't know, whined one of the civilians. It matters little to me or to your daimyo, responded Genryosai. He even offered to come here himself at the head of his army to make sure my grandson was returned to me. The Fire Daimyo knows well what damage I can do militantly, economically, and politically. He won't side with you in this. Of course, my promising to resume our trade with Fire Country if he gave me his support in this also helped, he said with a smirk on his face. Let's face it, your village is at an all-time low. You haven't recuperated from the Fox's attack and the short war with the Cloud Village that shortly followed it. If there was a war between our nations, your village would not survive. The council members and the Hokage lowered their heads in defeat. They knew the daimyo was right. They were about to lose the son of their greatest hero forever, and it was entirely their own fault. Just as all seemed lost, a voice got everyone's attention. Perhaps there is no need for conflict. It was the voice of Hayashi Hyuga that said this. I don't know if you are aware, but both I and my wife, Hana Hyuga, were rather close to Minato and your daughter Kushina. Genryosai smiled, knowing the plan was going perfectly. Yes, how is Hana-chan? I have missed her dearly since the last time she came to Whirlpool, said Genryosai using his grandfather-like voice, which actually had some people thinking it was creepy the way he quickly changed attitudes. She is doing well, thank you. She is at home with my newborn daughter, but it was actually my eldest daughter that I wished to speak to you about. Genryosai frowned, pretending to be upset. Is that so? This wouldn't have anything to do with a certain document that my daughter sent to me for safekeeping, would it? This had everyone's attention, just as Hayashi and the Uzumaki had planned. It would. But I will leave it for you to decide. I will tell you this. It would have made your daughter very happy if you agreed to it. I know my wife would be thrilled if you did. Forgive me, Hyuga-sama, Uzumaki-sama, but what are you talking about? Asked Sayoki Haruno. Genryosai looked at the pink-haired woman and answered. We are talking about a betrothal contract that was made between my grandson and Hayashi's eldest daughter and signed by my daughter and her husband. This caused an excitement to all Leaf members. Here was a chance of keeping the fourth son in the village. I supposed I would be willing to consider it, said the daimyo as he stroked his beard. Under certain conditions, of course, he said. What conditions would those be? Asked Hayashi. First and most important, the contract was for your daughter to join the Namikaze clan. That will be impossible, as I intend to make my grandson my heir. If you agree to this, you must agree that your daughter will join the Uzumaki clan. Before Hayashi could answer, Danzo interrupted. He is the son of the fourth Hokage. He is by birthright the heir on the Namikaze clan. And you have a healthy son able to pass on your family name. My son has forfeited his right to the line of succession. He has sworn an oath never to take a wife again. As such, I have the right to choose another as my heir. I choose my grandson, Naruto Uzumaki, as the heir of Whirlpool. Your own daimyo has accepted my choice. I believe it was in the hopes of arranging a marriage with my grandson and one of his granddaughters. But I made no promises. Then perhaps a different arrangement can be made, said Fugaku Uchiha. As the last heir of 2 clans he has. No! The Uzumaki daimyo snapped angrily. The Uzumaki do not practice the CRA, and perhaps that is why your clan is down to 2 members, answered Fugaku calmly. 3 members, corrected Kenshin with steel in his voice. Perhaps we should allow Naruto to choose whether or not he wishes to be part of the CRA when he is older, said Danzo, confident that he could find a way to manipulate the boy to choose to take part in it. Danzo would need strong soldiers when he became Hokage after all. I can agree to that. What about you, Hayashi? Asked Genryosai. That is acceptable to me. Very well. My second condition is that since my grandson will live in Whirlpool, that your daughter spend the summer in Indra with him like your wife did with Kushina. That is acceptable if it can wait until she starts the academy, answered Hayashi. Agreed. Forgive me for interrupting this discussion, cut in Sarutobi. But I believe it's only fair for young Hinata and both of Naruto's parents that he too spends some time in the Leaf Village. It was both of his parents' wishes that he became a ninja in the service of his home. The Leaf Village is no longer his home. However, I will allow him the choice to return here when Hinata is ready to become a genin, and if he wishes he too can join the Leaf as a ninja as well. Genryosai grudgingly said this as he knew that his daughter would have wanted him to give Naruto the choice. Sarutobi knew this was as close as he was going to get for now, so he let the matter drop. Genryosai turned to leave, but before he did he addressed the council one last time. I will make myself clear on this. You should all be thankful to Hayashi and his wife. My current agreement with the Hyuga clan is the only reason I'm not declaring war on your village this very second. As long as the alliance between the Hyuga and the Uzumaki stands, your village is safe. Without another word, the daimyo left the room with his grandson in his arms and his son guarding his back. Hayashi mentally smiled at how perfectly his wife's plan had worked. Not only was his village safe and his family protected, but his wife's godson was with his family. He had also gained protection for his daughter from the clan council, as there could be no better husband for Hinata than the new prince of Whirlpool. As much as Hayashi liked looking at the council's horrified and angry looks, he had to let his wife know it had gone well. If you'll excuse me, I have to let my wife and my clan know about the new developments from this meeting, Hayashi said in his Hyuga voice. Yes, I think we all need to reflect on what happened in this meeting. And I need to prepare for the announcement that I will make to the village letting them know about Naruto's heritage. Now that he is with the Uzumaki, there is no reason to keep that information hidden. Sarutobi didn't look happy at all when he made that statement. What a drag. You know this is going to cause a lot of grief with everyone in the village, said Shikaku. I know, but we don't really have a choice anymore. The Uzumaki will not keep quiet about Naruto's parents. The village will have to deal with it whether they like it or not, said the third. Several minutes later, Hayashi made his way into his room and found Hana sitting alone on their bed. Where are the children? He asked. Hanabi is in the nursery and Hinata in practicing her taijutsu. How did it go? She asked in a worried voice as she stood up. Hayashi actually had a huge smile on his face as he wrapped his arms around his beautiful wife's waist. It all went perfectly, just as you planned. Naruto is with his family, the council and the Hokage can't do anything about it, and Hinata is now his betrothed. Hana wrapped her arms around her husband's neck and kissed him hard. That great! When do we tell the elders? And Hinata, when does she meet Naruto? I will tell the elders the news in a meeting tonight. Hinata, I think we can wait to tell. I think the daimyo wants some time to get Naruto accustomed to the life in his new home before Get tells him about his responsibility to Hinata. My guess is that Genryosai wants to wait at least 2 years until just before Hinata starts the academy until we tell them about their arranged marriage. Yes, I suppose that's for the best. At least our daughter gets a couple more years to just be a little girl. I'm very happy that all went well. All we can hope now is that the children can find love with each other. Hana's voice then turned from happy to one with worry. What about the caged bird seal? The elders will want to place it on Hinata immediately. Hayashi's smile grew to a full-out smirk. Don't worry about that. I have some bad news for the elders if they think they will be placing that abomination on my daughter. I was unable to do anything for my brother or his son, but I will save my child from that fate. Hana hugged her husband closer. She knew how much it pained him that his brother had sacrificed himself for him. Hana thanked Hisashi for the sacrifice every day. She had done her best to help Niji, but every day the boy grew colder and more he spoke about fate. Hana would have to try harder to help her nephew, not only for him but for her husband as well. Only the future would tell what fate had waiting for everyone. Hana would just have to wait and see. Chapter 5. Hayashi sat in the clan council room with his emotionless mask on. He knew that the meeting that was about to begin would cause trouble within the clan. He was having difficulty not smirking, knowing how much he was going to piss off the clan elders. Thank you for coming to this meeting. I have news from my meeting with the council and the following meeting between the village council and the Whirlpool Daimyo. And what news do you have, Hayashi? Is war with Whirlpool inevitable? Asked one of the elders. It seemed that was the case. However, I was able to reach an agreement with the Uzumaki that saved the village from war, answered Hayashi. What do you mean? What agreement? And what does this agreement with the Uzumaki mean for the clan? Asked another elder. The agreement was for a marriage between my daughter Hinata and the heir of Whirlpool. Hayashi inwardly smirked at the shocked looks on the elders' faces. He didn't have to wait long for their reaction. You betrothed Hinata to the Badasai? How did you get him to agree? Asked an elder, seemingly not bothered by the thought of a 5-year-old being betrothed to a man more than 20 years older. Hayashi glared at the man before answering. No, Hinata has been betrothed to the Whirlpool Daimyo's grandson, Naruto Uzumaki. As Hayashi expected, this was met with shock, quickly followed by outrage. What do you mean by that, Hayashi? How is that? Abomination, the heir of Whirlpool. Explain yourself. It appears that Naruto bears the Uzumaki name for a reason. He has been proven to be the son of Kushina Uzumaki, princess of Whirlpool, and her husband, the 4th Hokage. Because of this, he has been chosen as the heir of Whirlpool. In order to prevent war, I suggested an alliance between our clan and the Uzumaki via a political marriage between Hinata and the young prince. What possible reason could you have to do that? Why would you ally our great clan with that demon? He is the son of our village's greatest hero and leader. The 3rd Hokage admitted that it was true himself. He will also be the next daimyo of Whirlpool. He will lead one of the richest and most powerful nations in the world. What do you think will happen when he takes the throne? He will lead his armies and burn this village to the ground. But if his future wife has her family in this village, that won't be the case. The elders seemed to finally understand that this was a good thing for the clan. The Uzumaki were one of the most influential royal families around. An alliance between the Hyuga and the Uzumaki could be very beneficial for the clan, both politically and financially. I suppose that the next daimyo of Whirlpool is an acceptable match for Hinata. Yes, this will bring honor and respect for the clan, said an elder, getting nods of approval from the rest. Hayashi thought this going better than he thought until. I suggest that we prepare to place the caged bird seal on Hinata as soon as possible so she can be. We won't be placing the seal on Hinata, interrupted Hayashi. The elder glared at Hayashi. She will be marrying someone outside our clan. She will have her bloodline sealed as it's always done. We won't let our bloodline be taken by another clan, no matter who they are. Hayashi glared at the elder. Have you forgotten that the Uzumaki are the greatest seal masters alive? The daimyo is the finest seal master in the world. And do not forget that it was an Uzumaki that developed the original seal we used to protect our bloodline before we changed it to the way it is now. That doesn't give them a say on how it's used, started the elder. If anyone can find a way to remove it, it's the people that created it in the first place, said Hayashi. This sent worried whispers throughout the room. Surely we can reason with the daimyo. He must understand that we do this only to protect our bloodline. If that was true, I am sure we could reach an agreement. However, we all know that's not the case. If all our seal did was protect our bloodline, there wouldn't be a problem. The caged bird seal, however, practically enslaves the branch members. The branch members must be kept in their place for the good of the clan, snarled one of the elders. If the Uzumaki won't agree, then we will simply terminate the marriage agreement, said another. Hayashi couldn't help himself as a ghost of a smile crept on his face. I'm afraid that is not possible. Our alliance with the Uzumaki is the only reason we are not at war, started Hayashi, only to be interrupted. That is not our concern. The Hyuga clan has already made a sacrifice to prevent war with the Cloud Village. We will not sacrifice the Byakugan to stop this one, and who will the village blame? We would lose all our power and prestige. Besides, you're under the impression that the Uzumaki will give us a choice, said Hayashi. We will not let them steal our bloodline. They don't care about our bloodline. The Uzumaki are one of the oldest clans in the world, much older than our own. And they already have a powerful bloodline of their own. Hayashi was losing his temper with these old fools. Then why do they care if we seal Hinata? If you must know, I will tell you exactly what the Uzumaki daimyo told me. He said I will not have the future queen of Whirlpool branded like she is a piece of cattle. Any attempts to do so, or if your clan breaks our agreement, will result in the Uzumaki declaring a blood feud with the Hyuga clan, a feud that will only end with the extinction of your clan. The daimyo was very adamant that he will not let one of the future leaders of his nation be subservient to any outside influence. Hayashi's smirk was evident as he looked at the seething elders. It was now painfully obvious that the fools had thought they would somehow be able to manipulate Hinata for their benefit. Well, now they knew she was untouchable, which was probably the reason why they were so pissed. The arrogant fools knew the village would gladly sell them out to save their own lives. And with a blood feud with the Uzumaki, no other village would take them in. I believe that this meeting is over. If you'll excuse me, I think I will go and speak to my wife about this new development. With that, Hayashi stood up and left the room as the angry elders argued with each other. After seeing the condition that Naruto was, his Genryusai and Kenshin had taken the carriage at full speed and reached their camp in a few hours. Once there, they had rushed Naruto to the medical tent where they were met by 22-year-old Megumi Takani, head of the Guardian Corps Medical Unit and personal physician to the Uzumaki clan. Megumi is a beautiful woman with long black hair and dark eyes. She wore a medical apron over her usual lavender kimono as she looked over Naruto. Once she was finished cleaning and treating Naruto for his wounds, she turned to the Uzumaki, rage visible in her normally playful-looking eyes. What kind of animals would do this to a child? I hope you made sure they were punished for this, she said, looking at Kenshin. I can assure you they all paid with their lives. My sword made sure of it, answered Kenshin. Megumi sent him an approving nod before she looked at the daimyo and spoke. He had several injuries. Broken and fractured bones were the worst, but those seemed to be healing at an extraordinary rate, most likely due to him being a Jinchuriki. The cuts and bruises are gone and I didn't find any internal injuries. He will be fine with some rest and should be awake by tomorrow. What worries me is that he is in a serious state of malnutrition. I will need to prepare a special diet and some medicine to help him gain the weight he should have. He has so little fat on his body, I'm not surprised he's so small. Thank you, Megumi-chan. Let me know if you need anything, said Genryusai. Megumi gave him a small bow before leaving to prepare Naruto's medicine. Are you seriously going to let him return to that miserable place? Asked Kenshin. Like I said, it will be his choice. Whether we like it or not, your sister loved that village and would have wanted him to at least have the chance to choose to go there or not. I don't like it, but I will do as you say, father. Excuse me, but I must let the men know that we must prepare to go home. I'm sure they will be disappointed, but it is for the best. Several of them saw Naruto's condition. You know that as soon as we get home the whole city will know of it too. Kenshin had seen the reactions on the faces of his men. They looked ready to kill, not that he blamed them at all. Yes, I know. We will have to do what we can to make sure there are no incidents, especially now that we will resume trade with Fire Country. Leaf Ninja will once again be able to enter our land. I don't want unnecessary violence in our home. I will do what I can. Kenshin then left to make preparations for their trip home. The next day, a dizzy Naruto opened his eyes. He quickly realized he was in the softest bed he had ever been on. Once he sat up, he looked around but couldn't identify where he was. He remembered being kicked out of the orphanage, then getting attacked by all those people, but nothing after that. This room didn't look like the hospital that the nice old man with the funny hat took him to once. Plus, this room made him feel funny, like the room was moving back and forth. And it smelled weird, kind of like fish or something. Before Naruto could continue to wonder just where the heck he was, he heard the door opening. Naruto turned to see a very pretty lady with black hair come in. She smiled at him before speaking. Ah, I see you're awake. Good morning, Naruto. Are you feeling okay? Naruto was not sure what to say. No one but the old man with the hat had been nice to him. I'm okay. I feel good. Where am I? And how do you know my name? Megumi spoke as she looked over him to make sure he was in fact okay. My name is Megumi and I'm a doctor. You're here because you were hurt, but you do appear to be doing very well. Before Megumi could continue, two large men in blue armor walked in the room. Naruto was a little scared because they both had long swords with them. Megumi-sama, Daimyo-sama wanted to be informed immediately once the young prince was awake, said one of them. Very well, you may go and tell him. Let him know, however, that I must make sure that Naruto gets a small meal then takes his medicine before I bring him to the daimyo, replied Megumi. Both men placed their right fist over their heart then bowed before leaving the room. Megumi left the room but returned shortly afterwards. Naruto wanted to ask a million questions, but all of them were forgotten when Megumi placed a tray of delicious-looking food and told him to eat. Once Naruto had finished, which Megumi thought was impossibly fast, Megumi handed Naruto the nicest set of clothes he had ever worn. It was a dark blue kimono that Megumi had to help him put on. Megumi took him by the hand and led him out of the room. Naruto saw that they were not in a building. Naruto looked around and saw that there was water everywhere around him, and there was a strong salty smell in the air. Megumi and Naruto were surrounded by men wearing the same armor as the other two that first came to Naruto's room. Several of them bowed to Naruto as he walked by, which really confused him. "Where are we? And where are we going?" asked Naruto as he pulled on Megumi's sleeve. "We are on a ship, Naruto. And we are going to meet some very important people that are very eager to meet you. Look, we're here," she said, pointing to the door that a man in armor was opening for them. As they walked in, Naruto tightened his hold on Megumi's hand. Naruto could see what looked like very nice paintings on the walls as well as other very expensive-looking things in the room as they walked through it. When Megumi stopped, Naruto turned his head to look forward and saw two people in front of him. The first was a very old-looking man whom reminded Naruto of the old man with the pointy hat. He was sitting in an expensive-looking chair. He was wearing almost the exact same clothes that Naruto was wearing, but he had a long white coat on him. He also had a long beard that for some reason Naruto really wanted to pull on. The old man smiled warmly at Naruto, which helped Naruto feel a little more at ease. He was still pretty nervous. The second man had long red hair and an X-shaped scar on his cheek. He had a similar white coat to the one the old man had. His clothes are similar to those Naruto and the old man are wearing, but his are red and white, not dark blue. The man was not smiling, and was giving Naruto a stare with a look in his eyes that actually scared Naruto a little. The fact that he also had a sword didn't help Naruto feel any better either. "Naruto, I would like to introduce you to Kenshin and Genryusai Uzumaki," said Megumi. "Eh? But Uzumaki is my name? Why do they have the same name that I do?" asked a confused Naruto. It was Genryusai that answered him. "Because you have the same name as your mother." "My mother? You know who my mother is? Can you tell me, please?" he asked in an almost frantic voice. Naruto had never known anything about his parents. To an orphan like him, it was the most precious dream to one day have a family, and now these people knew who his mother was. He had to know. He just had to. Genryusai stood from his chair and kneeled down, placing a hand on his grandson's shoulder and looked directly into his cerulean blue eyes. "Your mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki, princess of the land of Whirlpool, wife to the 4th Hokage and my precious daughter. You, Naruto, are my grandson. I am your grandfather and my son here," he said, pointing at Kenshin. "He is your uncle. We are both your family." Naruto could not believe what he had just been told. His mother was a princess, and his dad was the 4th Hokage, the 4th Hokage. And he had a family. After always being alone, he finally had a family. "I have a family?" he choked out as tears of happiness began to fall from his blue eyes. Genryusai embraced his grandson as the boy clung to him like a lifeline and cried his little heart out. "Yes, you have a family. And you will never be alone again, I promise, and an Uzumaki never breaks a promise." After a few minutes, Naruto calmed down enough to speak. "If you're my family, why was I in the orphanage? Didn't you want me?" he asked in a whisper, not looking at his grandfather. Before Genryusai could answer, Kenshin spoke. "Never believe that for a second, Naruto. We were lied to by the Leaf Village. We were told that you had died with your parents. Had we known you were alive, there would have been no force on this earth that would have stopped us from bringing you home to Whirlpool." Naruto turned to look at the man he now knew was his uncle. His eyes had a warmer look to them, and he didn't scare Naruto anymore. Naruto didn't know why the village said he was dead, but he didn't really care right now. He finally had a family and they cared about him. Naruto had never been happier. "Can you tell me about my mom?" asked Naruto. "Of course we can, Naruto-kun," said Genryusai as he placed Naruto on his lap. "We can tell you anything you want to know about her," he said as Naruto gave him his undivided attention. Megumi smiled lovingly as she looked on, and the daimyo began to tell the little boy everything about his mother. She could see that even Kenshin's stern and emotionless mask was forgotten as he too listened to his father speak about his beloved sister. Megumi slowly and quietly left the room, leaving the newly acquainted Uzumaki family to spend the very private moment alone. The next few days flew by for Naruto. He spent most of the time with his grandfather, and sometimes with his uncle as well. Naruto really liked his family, even if his uncle Kenshin seemed to always be mad about something. Naruto also liked Megumi a lot. She was always nice to him, and although she made him take his medicine and that tasted horrible, Naruto's grandfather had been telling him many things about his mom, and about his new home in Whirlpool Country. Naruto couldn't wait to get there. His grandfather said they would be arriving in a few hours. Naruto was also told by his grandfather that as a Prince of Whirlpool he would be taught both ninja and samurai arts. Naruto had always wanted to be a ninja, but being a samurai was cool too. Naruto's mother had been trained in both arts, and she was super strong from what his grandfather and some of the samurai on the ship told him. The samurai were pretty cool too. Naruto was still not used to them calling him Naruto-sama or Uzumaki-sama, but his grandfather told him that it was a form of showing their respect for him and the Uzumaki family. His grandfather told Naruto he might as well get used to it because he was going to hear it a lot for all of his life. Naruto turned to see his grandfather entering his room. Hey grandpa, did you enjoy your meal? Yes, it was amazing. What was that anyway? It was the best thing I ever eaten, Naruto said with a face-splitting smile on his whiskered face. Genryusai chuckled at his antics. I had a feeling you would like ramen. It was your mother's favorite food too. Did you take the medicine Megumi-chan left for you? Or does she need to give you another shot? Naruto's face went extremely pale as he shook his head at blurring speed. A couple of days ago Naruto refused to take the disgusting medicine. Megumi smiled wickedly and said that was okay, but before Naruto could celebrate she gave him a shot in the arm. That needle really hurt. After that Naruto never complained about taking his medicine, and his grandfather just loved teasing him about it. No! I took my medicine, promise. Genryusai rubbed his grandson's hair and said, good, now come, we are almost at Luka Port. We will take a carriage from there to Aindral, and from there we will ride horses to the people's palace. Why don't we take the carriage to the palace? Because the people of Whirlpool want to see their new prince. The people loved your mother, and I'm sure they will love you too. Now come, we have to get ready. The Whirlpool fleet arrived to the cheering crowds as many locals had received word of the arrival and went to meet their loved ones. It was a surreal experience for Naruto. Naruto had been despised and mistreated all of his short life, but these people clapped and cheered as the carriage drove by. Naruto would occasionally poke his head out the window, which caused the cheering to spike even louder. As they drove on the Great Uzumaki Bridge there were cheering crowds on either side of the bridge, but nothing prepared Naruto for what he saw when they reached the end of the bridge and got on the horses. As they passed the massive gates with a samurai escort to keep the crowd at bay, Naruto got one of the biggest surprises of his life. As a samurai lead Naruto's horse with his grandfather and uncle at either side of him, he got the first look at his new home. It was huge. Naruto could see it was almost endless when he compared it with the Leaf Village. But the biggest shock was that when the Uzumaki were in the sight of the people of the city there was a thunderous explosion of celebratory vocals as the people cheered for them while they rode by. Naruto was nervous and actually really scared at first. Every time he had seen a crowd this excited, they were trying to hurt him, but these people smiled and cheered and waved at him. The people threw flowers in front of them. Naruto's trademark smile appeared on his face as he began to smile and wave back to the people as they made their way through the city. When the Uzumaki and their escort stopped in front of the palace gates, Naruto's grandfather spoke to him. Welcome to the people's palace, welcome home. Naruto liked the sound of that. If possible, his smile grew even larger. I'm home was all Naruto said. The Heir of Whirlpool was finally home.